when you have gone through staring at an art piece, that's one of the things that we did while we were in college. We went to Italy, we went into Sistine Chapel, and there was, I think, 2 or 3 different sets of artwork that we sat as a whole class and we just stared at. No talking for an hour. We had a list of things to point out, the lines, the composition, the, heaviness on this side, the colors, the symbols, all kinds of different things that we had. I'll even put up my template and maybe in this portion of the video for people to check out. And you just sit there for an hour and stare at it. There is a level of accomplishment that comes when you have sat and started to uncover the depth of the artist within his painting. Because, you think that they cannot, integrate all of these things into one image. You'd be wrong. It is dramatically surprising to me. Like, it just blows your mind. That brings a sense of accomplishment. A little boost of both serotonin and dopamine at the same time. While on the flip side of that, on the negative end of that, right, you have people who are going out and rioting. There's a sense of oxytocin, I'm sure, that they're getting. A sense of community. And a sense of serotonin when you are the one screaming into the microphone and you feel like you're doing a righteous cause. And a sense of dopamine that, people are cheering you on and this is exactly how it's supposed to be, fighting the system. And so it's interesting to mirror those two things, the religious aspect of it, the political aspect and whatnot. And it's just like we're living in such confusing times that I think, when you brought up earlier, not contemplation per se, but attention.
Attention.
Yeah. It's like if we were to allow our attention spans to chill out, to just stop attending to things and be silent, go sit in grass and challenge our own beliefs by ourselves in quiet and just sit there and actually even understand what we believe. Like if I was to stand up for this cause or that cause, why do I believe that?
Yeah, our attention spans have definitely decreased in the last decade or two.
We're worse than goldfish. I'm pretty sure that's a thing. I could be wrong.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure we have technically a smaller attention span than goldfish today.
Our attention spans are much worse than they used to be. There's a great book called Analog Church. We can put that in the show notes as well. And it just demonstrates how that, even by just a few seconds, has reduced in duration. And one of the culprits is just the ever spinning forth of new material where you're not able to sit and meditate and reflect.
Right.
You've got the next swipe, the next scroll up, or down or whatever. And it encourages a lack of attention and a lack of focus. You bring in the religious aspect, something that you and I really didn't grow up with that much, or at all really, was the beauty and the colors that one experiences when you go to an Orthodox church versus, a Lutheran or Catholic church, which are, those two are still ornate and beautiful, but not nearly as much as an Orthodox church. And then you brought up, your own experience in the non-denominational field, where it's much more bland. There are churches that have no decorations at all, and they're just a square
and it's
rectangle.
It's not out of piety; it's simply out of uncreativity.
Well,
for the ones that I grew up in.
For in some denominations, it is a matter of piety.
Yeah,
absolutely, for sure. So I would say, like, what happens there, and this is my personal experience, having been raised in a Southern Baptist church where we were concerned about the color of the carpet and the beautiful wooden stain of the pews and the choir robes and the beautiful stained glass windows and the lamps that hung from the ceiling were ornate as well. There can be a sense of looking down on other churches and other faith expressions that don't have that. I also was raised in, not raised, but I also experienced non-denominational worship where we would, consider our own style, having banners and flags and these sorts of things that would be much less common and utilized in a different way. Well, we're better than Church XYZ that's down the road. And so in our visual experience, we not only, because we don't appreciate where we come from and what other values hold, we create this tribal system in our thought. Now, the thing about this is, and this is going back to the music aspect, something I said earlier, I hear music differently than a lot of people who are not musically trained. We take these courses in high school and in college called music appreciation. It's just a simple matter of taking the time with someone who's an expert and a master to learn what to listen for. Or if you're going to a museum and you're looking at paintings, you need to have a master there to show you what to look for.
Yeah.
And you take the time and you appreciate it. And I think, at least in the Orthodox sense, it explains why they have such a better view of the mystery of the human person. They're much more mystical, and they can sort of rest and be at peace. And I use those two words specifically. They can rest and be at peace and trust the mystery, as opposed to being overly concerned about the process and systematic in their theology.
And for those who are just listening, when he said better, he put little quotation marks around it.
Right. So qualifying my speech there, of course. So having, been trained in music, I not only hear differently, but my actual experience is, for me, much more enjoyable. So, and there's reasons for that, because I hear other compositions alluded to in music. Oh, that moment sounded like something that Beethoven would do, or that's exactly what Bach would do in this instance, or, and you can even do this for modern music, such as John Williams. You can hear some similarity in his movie music from one movie to the other, the similar style and even themes that were developed in some cases, or contemporary movies that draw from classical music pieces, such as the Imperial March in Star Wars, or the movie Gladiator, the drawing from a composition written by Gustav Holst, The Planets. And so, like, this knowledge base of appreciation and having been guided by a master or expert, not only increases knowledge, but it also increases the enjoyment of the experience. In biological terms, it's a more proper use of your body, as opposed to bringing in something that's pseudo and provides a temporary and unbalanced experience.
Right. And to add to that as well is, I have communicated in the past, and maybe this is, this is bordering on that less heresy than expected portion of this podcast, but I have instructed a few people to go and listen to the Bema podcast with Marty Solomon and Brent Billings. And I know that they may not say this themselves, so I'm not trying to put words in their mouths or whatnot, but I have told people that I think that it is actually even more critical for people today to go and listen to a Bema podcast. Go listen through it, or go find somebody who is teaching the same kind of things that the Bema podcast is, because it's going to teach you how to read the Bible. It is actually, I would say, more important than going and reading the Bible. Because if you go and read the Bible, you're doing the same thing that we've been saying this whole podcast. You're simply reading it through that lens. It's predigested through your agenda, XYZ. No, go get challenged. Marty has this episode where he talks about how, as he was going through his education, I can't remember the rabbi he trained under, but he would start off the whole class, like the first half, if not more, of that class. He would just simply, they would read a portion of scripture, and then they would point out every single problem about that. This contradicts with that doesn't align with this perfectly. This is actually wrong, just factually incorrect. This is just, blah, 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 blah. And you're just sitting there like, there's no hope for this scripture. This person was an idiot. But but it is there to lead you to ask more questions, right? And so if we start to ask questions of the problems, then we get into this more beautiful thing. It's not a prepackaged experience. It is something that is leading you on a journey for you to hopefully come to the same experience as the author.